Okay. I just got this message. Sorry, we're live, and I got a pop-up saying StreamYard has lost access to my LinkedIn account.
It lost. So me too. Yeah, and I said screw it.
Oh, that's what it was doing. This application is disabled. Oh, okay. Well, it is what it is. Guess we're not streaming live on LinkedIn today.
Uh-oh. That's most of our audience, but that's okay.
It is what it is.
You want to try to fix it? Because we can talk about these articles while you try to fix it. Because
it says the application is disabled. I don't know why that would be. Let me just try one thing. Yeah, go ahead and start chatting, and I'll see if I can fix it. But I don't think I can.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up quickly. Doesn't say. Anyways, yeah. So this first one, are we talking the Fisker bankruptcy?
Yeah, let's talk about that. And I'll bring it up while we talk about it. So just a few days ago, they filed for Chapter 11, and as we're talking about EVs and stuff, you keep bringing up Fisker and the ocean and what a disaster it was and stuff. And we've seen a lot of that, and it's finally now come that it's done.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like you've got three EV startups other than Tesla who are struggling, except Lucid just got an influx of money, cash from Volkswagen. They just signed a deal with Volkswagen. Is it Lucid? No. What's the other one? Anyways,
Rivian.
Yeah, Rivian just got an influx of cash. They signed an agreement with Volkswagen. So, but see, Fisker, I've got a special place in my heart for Fisker because I loved the Karma. The car, it had a solar panel sunroof. It looked phenomenal. The car was decent, but I don't know how reliable it was. But so that he filed for bankruptcy before. Now he's filing again. He said 2 EV startups go bankrupt. So this is Henrik Fisker. So the Fisker Ocean, which, looked okay. It was if you saw the reviews from all of the influencers and things like that, it got horrible reviews. So, but the thing about it is it faced recalls for powertrain issues, hoods flying open while driving. Like the review slammed it for poor build quality, tech glitches, and the high price point. I think it was like 85,000. So there's lawsuits that are for mishandling financial reporting, a whole bunch of different things. And get this, they burned through over $1 billion in investor capital since 2016.
Yeah, with as much as 500 million in liabilities. It's expensive to do these things, to start a car manufacturer. That's why there's a huge moat. When you talk about startup world, you're talking about what's your moat, what's your defense between other things. And with EVs on auto, like there's a huge cost, $1 billion just to get shit going.
Yeah.
And not everybody. What I liked about Fisker knows how to design a nice looking car.
Yeah.
He's got a history of doing it over years and years. And even though I don't really like the shape and stuff of the Ocean, it's a nice looking car when you get up close and stuff. It's done well, that part of it. But apparently a lot of stuff wasn't working. I saw some videos from, I think it was Marcus Allen. I can't remember, that guy who does all the tech stuff.
Yeah, Marcus.
Marcus somebody.
Marcus something.
I think Marcus Allen, someone else. Sorry, it's early in the morning. And he did the review of Ocean 1.0 and then 2 after the firmware update and stuff. And there was some significant improvements, but it's one of those things that it was still missing some basic stuff. You talked about a bunch of weird things that I hadn't heard about, like doors popping off and stuff.
Hood popping off, not doors.
Sorry,
that's even crazier.
Oh, there they are. Got the fun hoods flying off at high speeds. They've had more than 100 complaints filed. So it's too bad that this has happened, because I think Fisker is one of an interesting entry into this marketplace.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see, from an EV perspective, a lot of people pulling out or complaining about how much money they're losing. I keep seeing articles about how no one's buying EVs anymore. The lots are empty.
It's slowed
Our
down
lots are full, sorry.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I mean, these are anecdotal, right? Unless I dig into it, it's all whatever message somebody happens to be sending me at the time, right? Oh, no one's buying EVs, so now's the best time to buy, or it's this or it's that, unless you actually investigate why this is happening. So it's all anecdotal, but it's sorry to see the competition go, and that Tesla's still going to be
I
the
didn't
big.
see Fisker as too much competition. I see Rivian and Lucid as more competition. Fisker was more like, I feel like they were more like a niche kind of car at the time, like based on how they were based on production and things like that, right?
Yeah, if I
I
wanted
think
to compare this to the gaming world or whatnot, I would say these are the indie gamers who went on Kickstarter and raised money versus the professionals who the AAA gamers who know how to build. Yeah, and I've seen some Rivian. Rivian's had some, not so flattering news about them significantly over different periods of time. I've liked what I've seen from them overall, and I've liked the vehicles I've seen. If you watched Long Way Up, Rivian was heavily featured.
Okay.
I don't know if you know those series. That's the Ewan McGregor motorcycle riding series.
Cool.
It's Long Way Round, Long Way Down, Long Way Up. There's 4 of them, I think.
It's Marcus Brownlee.
There you go, Marcus Brownlee. Thank you.
Yeah. Shout out to him. He does great content. So
absolutely. I'm sorry I got your name wrong.
Hearing his rise to fame is good. Like he's a grinder. It was great. So, anyways.
Yeah, check out his stuff when you can. So yeah, there's not much to say. I guess I looked at it as a competitor as far as look at all the different auto companies out there. And as they go into new areas like EVs, like maybe the ammonia vehicles, like hydrogen, like thorium we're going to talk about, it gives us a chance to see new entries in the marketplace make huge jumps forward potentially because everybody's learning. Like Tesla jumped forward with the EVs and everyone was scrambling to catch up. And what's going to happen with hydrogen? The same thing. So I figured the more competition, the better, whether, at what level it's competition, but people are doing different ingenuitive stuff. You were talking about the solar panels in the Fisker, which Marcus Brownlee was pointing out that, you get only a couple of kilometers extra from that. So range, so it depends on how you want to use it. That. So it's to me, it's a sad day, but it is what it is, and it's a dog eat dog world out there, and if you're not the lead dog, you're gonna get eaten.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of indie car manufacturers, have you heard of Project Arrow?
No.
What? Really? It's Canada's vehicle, Canada's EV vehicle that was designed by the APMA, which is the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association of Canada. They launched their first original full build zero emission concept vehicle named Project Arrow last year. We can talk about it another time, but or we can talk about it now. But that I'm wondering where that goes. I'm wondering what happens to that one.
Yeah, I see it here. No, I know nothing about this.
Okay, yeah.
And it looks kind of cool.
It does look kind of cool, yeah. Looks like a more futuristic minivan, kind of cross between a minivan and SUV, whatever crossover, whatever.
Yeah, definitely some type of crossover. You get maybe a better look out of it here.
There we go.
But that looks
cool that it's Canadian.
Yeah, it's very cool that it's Canadian. Phase 3 engineering, a build phase 21-22, concept car release and tour in 2023. So I guess they're touring with the concept car now.
Yeah, let's hope it gets past concept and it doesn't get shot down like the Avro Arrow.
RFP. Oh, All right. We'll see. They're looking for RFPs for 2.0. So you heard it here.
Yeah.
Go if you're an
Automotive.
automotive supplier or a strategic partner or type some cool tech, there's an RFP for you to be part of this Canadian Project Arrow.
Yeah.
So get out there.
Really cool stuff. The guy who I follow on Twitter, his name's Flavio Volpe. He's the one who's been behind this. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really happy to see that he made it all the way to concept car, which is really awesome.
Hey, friends from Xmatic, I'm looking at you. You should be jumping all over this, my friends.
Yes.
All right, let's jump on to this next one, which is really cool because we talk about new battery technology all the time.
Yeah.
And so Apple, although it's not Apple specific technology supplier of theirs called TDK, who's doing this, and this is supposed to have 100 times energy density than conventional solid state batteries.
Yeah. But 100 times energy density doesn't mean 100 times the power. It means about 3 times the power.
When you say 3 times the power, you're talking about energy density usually applies to how much energy you can get in or out at once.
Yeah.
Versus how much it stores over a long term.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so based on what just reading the article, like it's got 100 times the energy density, but then it says they could store 3 times the power of current iPhone batteries that are the same size. And what's cool, I think, in the article, it says they're looking to bring them to products by 2025.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to jump on this early. Like they're just talking about this now that if it's 3 times, that's great. I mean, I was expecting more. And again, I don't know.
Wrong, but
And we look overall at these things, the battery will provide so many amps out over a period of time. So are we talking a traditional 1800 milliamp type battery? Are we talking about it's 3 times means it's 2700 or the next generation off of that? Or are we talking about your phone will last 3 days now?
I think that, like, if we're talking, and this is just me, I didn't do a deep dive, but let's say it's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery we currently have, and if we're talking 3 times the power, then I'm thinking we're talking 15,000 milliamp hours of current power. So
nice.
That's, again, if there's any experts out there, feel free to correct me. But yeah, I think we're talking. So like, yeah, it's going to be 3 times everything. So 3 times the length of time that you can use it for, that it lasts. The question I have is it 3 times the charging time? That will be something to know or to find out.
Usually when it's the power density is high, you can charge faster. We've talked about that with the planes and whatnot, and a few of these things. These batteries are oxide based, solid electrolyte, in contrast with the liquid electrolyte used in lithium ion batteries. So these are supposed to be extremely safe and won't necessarily bust into yes.
Like that huge fire that happened in South Korea, the lithium ion factory, just a couple days ago.
Oh, I didn't see about that one.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But this is cool. I really like this because we talk about a lot of future tech on here, and this one is one that seems to be closer future tech as far as should be seeing next year. But again, the thing I don't like about Apple is they never post the milliamp hours of their batteries. So they could be making these claims and we have no clue.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, right? That's why I'm trying to understand what this will actually mean. But it means batteries are smaller, charge faster, last longer, have a lower risk of damage, temperature change. When we start seeing these, we might start to see these transition to EVs and stuff, where we talk about the risk of fire and all that stuff.
Oh, I did just do a quick search. So the 15 Pro Max has 4,400 milliamp hour battery in it.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. So that's actually, it's interesting because in the past, and I haven't been keeping up on this, in the past, iPhone batteries have been significantly smaller than Android batteries as far as for the same size, same form factor. So it's interesting to see. I guess they're still smaller because we're looking at 5,000 milliamp hour, 5,500 in these phones, even up to 6,000 milliamp hour in Android. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
Definitely. I like when we look at this, the article talks about they're going to be first put in watches and earbuds. So I could see 2025, 2026, the Airbud Pro version 3 or version 4, whatever it's going to be, that's got
Yeah.
3 times the battery life where it'll go all day potentially versus the 6 hour that it has now, the version. So
Let's hope Apple doesn't charge 3 times the price for them.
yeah, I mean, it does have the Apple tax. Say
Yeah.
what you will. I waited a long time. I talked to a lot of people before I bought my Apple AirPods Pro. And they all love them. And then I got a deal on mine because I'd bought either an iPod or a laptop, and I got a $200 card. So the $320 wasn't too bad when you take $200 off. They're friggin' expensive. They work great. I love them. I wear them all the time. I bought the Apple extended warranty because I had a problem with one and I took it in, and they replaced it, and then it was $49 or something for the warranty. At the end of my 3-year warranty, just before it was up, I took it in because there was a crackling on headphones. They replaced both of them.
Wow.
So I got brand new headphones at the end of the 3-year warranty cycle, and they're working great. So they treat you well. There is an Apple tax involved. But if you're switching between Apple devices, the headphones work like nobody's business.
So a a little quirk about those AirPod Maxes, the ones that go over the ears.
Oh yeah,
they are connected. So the headband plugs in. So like they have lightning connectors, mini lightning connectors that are plugging into each headphone. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a lightning connector. I knew they were connected.
Yeah,
and you can plug it in. I'm not a big fan of the over ear. I like them for the noise blocking and whatnot, but because of my glasses and because of certain situations, the pressure is too much. So I love the earpods versus those.
Yeah.
And this next one, it sounds like we're Apple all the time, but Apple, according to suppliers, Apple has decided with their massive amounts of Vision Pro sales decline. They originally had 180,000 pre-orders, and it dropped like a stone. They were probably mostly developers trying to get their hands on it. No one's buying this thing.
No,
so they're slowing down their supplies. They're cutting. They're telling people not to make them anymore at certain factories. And they're focusing on a new product. Apparently, it's going to be significantly cheaper.
Wait, significantly cheaper meaning still $1,500.
The thing, well, yeah, is it $1,500?
That's what I read an article about it. Yeah, still 1,500.
Yeah, well, it's cheaper than the 3,800.
But it's way more expensive than the what's the XR Pros or there's a bunch of AR glasses out there that are like max like $700, and apparently they work better than the Vision Pros.
Yeah, and these were supposed to be a high quality piece of gear, and when people got it, it was plasticky. They were falling apart. They were really unimpressed with the quality. It felt like what you got at demo day months before it was released and what they got their hands on were completely different products.
Yeah, exactly.
So where do you think this is going? Like the people are spending billions on this hardware. Like what have we seen, with optic what's the one Metabot?
Oculus,
and the Sony had one, and Microsoft had one, and everybody has one. And this has been going on for years. And I don't know, I think 4 or 5 years ago, I did the AR VR summit in Toronto. Like I ran it, and we had like 8 to 10 different units there that people were trying and stuff. I don't think it's really moved forward much as an industry.
I don't think the technology has a little bit, like as far as the displays for each eye, the weight of the things like that. There's more content now, but yeah. One cool thing about the Sony's PSVR 2 is now you can use it with your PC, so not just stuck to PlayStation, which is really cool. Microsoft HoloLens, I've always liked those the best. They're bulky though, but they've always gotten good reviews, except for the bulkiness, right? But they haven't released a new HoloLens in years. Like they have HoloLens 2, and it's been, I think, probably 6-7 years since they've released. Maybe less, maybe more. But I think the use case for these, so I think there's a specific use case for VR gaming, for whatever, Second Life, whatever you want to use it for. And then I think there's a specific use case for AR, which is those glasses for you to have your monitor right on your face, 120-inch screen. You can watch movies, you can stream whatever you want, and it's all private, right? And I think there's two paths moving forward. I don't know if these Apple Vision Pros are the thing that's going to push the needle forward or move the needle forward. But I think technology is moving, and getting better. Just I think not at the pace that we would expect it.
Yeah, and I think companies are spending a lot of money on this, and the technology is rapidly changing. And I think really what they're getting to is we don't really need a huge amount of computing power in the unit itself. We just need a really good monitors.
Yeah.
Because at first it was everything was in it, and now I say, well, just hook up to PC, just hook up to Mac, just hook it up to whatever, and you get less bulkiness as you go through it. The other challenge, obviously, is anybody with glasses has a hard time with these, and I would have figured some smart app person would have figured out, considering it's just pixels on a screen, how to change based on your prescription. You just type in your eye prescription, and it would distort appropriately.
So I don't think they can do that because of the way that the screens are, because you would have to change the focal, you'd have to adjust the lens itself. And I think that there's the AR glasses do have something like that. There's one that has it where it's not automatic, but you can get different attachments.
And the lenses are becoming different. I think we have in one of our potential upcoming topics is new lenses. For augmented reality glasses.
We'll cover that one next week.
Yeah. The technology outside of these things is changing so rapidly that I think the problem is for companies to spend what it takes to actually go into a manufacturing cycle and produce hundreds of thousands of these, and not get the return on investment when 6 months or 3 months, it's outdated before it's released, is a struggle when they're not selling. So I think why they're sticking to the base technology is all this changes till they come out with a better product. I feel like we're in the early stages of the tablet market. I had Microsoft Windows tablet long before.
Did you have the Palm one, the HP Palm one with Palm OS?
I did not.
No. So I like this story. Sorry. So Palm came out with this tablet that ran Palm OS, and this is near the end of Palm. And so they were great tablets at the time, just crappy operating system. So what happened was they ended up doing a fire sale on them. I ended up buying like 6 of them because you could jailbreak it and install Android. So you'd have an amazing Android tablet for a super cheap price, which was kind of fun. But
yeah, I was back in the day. I had some senior tech jobs, so I got to fool around with some of the latest tech, to the point of at one place where I was at, my boss deliberately wanted me to have completely different equipment than anybody else because he'd bring me into negotiations with every hardware vendor. So we'd go in with Dell, and I'd be sitting there with some other laptop, or we go in with Compaq, and I'd be sitting there with some other, everyone we go with, they'd be like, oh shit, these guys aren't big fans of ours, and it would actually drive the price down.
Yeah.
So he encouraged just my team. Everyone else had to do standard, so we got carried away with a little bit, and we were allowed to buy whatever we wanted.
Wow.
Simply for that reason, we were the architects and stuff. We were taking but it was really for power negotiation. It saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it worked.
Wow.
Anyway, back to stuff. It was funny how he showed me that, our team would walk in negotiations with a big, we're buying 5,700 laptops to go across, and we're spending lots of money. And my team walks in with them, and we all have a different laptop, and everyone's like, "Oh crap!" We thought we were a shoe-in for this, right? It really changes the picture. Yeah. We'll see where this augmented reality stuff goes.
Yeah,
but I think we're heading somewhere, and it's just taken a long time to get there.
Yeah.
So this next one. All three major labels are suing Udio and Suno, Udic and Suno, sorry. The music they make you can type in a few prompts and create songs.
Yeah.
And so the three major labels are suing the AI startups for copyright infringement, and this is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on?
Yeah, so it's crazy because this is what like you would think other companies would be doing to OpenAI and Anthropic, because in order to train these models, right, you need to train them on data. And so I think what the music labels are suing on is because of they're ingesting massive data sets of existing music, but also they're generating content from that music, which again, I'm not an expert in the music industry, but like there's something to do with how close a song is and different things like that. So there's a lot of gray area here that and yeah, let's see what they're claiming. So infringe on the copyright by training AI models on the label's library. So so they're using, it's available in the public domain, right? Like you can access all of these songs. So but again, you need to train your AI, your AI LLM. So that's what they're saying is they've infringed without paying, kind of thing.
Yeah, and this article goes on to say that they never specified what music their AI models are trained on. Antonio Rodriguez, an early Suno investor, told Rolling Stone in March that Suno did not have licenses for the music it trained on, admitting a degree of legal risk. Honestly, if we had deals with labels when this company got started, I probably wouldn't have invested in it. I think that they need to make this product without constraints. Udio's co-founder David Ding told Billboard in May that his company AI trained on publicly available data that we obtained from the internet, adding it was good music. So where do you stop, right? Like say, okay, as a startup, and this is one of those things, you move fast and break things and say, okay, I got to go out there and prove the model. So I got to go out and whatever music I can get my hands on, I'm going to feed in my AI and I'm going to tweak it and come out with this thing. And now they're potentially getting caught on the other end. And the music industry isn't an industry you should mess around with.
No, they will cancel you in a heartbeat, and we shouldn't be saying much because they might send. I guess, yeah,
they're not going to come after us. We're not doing anything. We're just talking about it. And I'm not taking a side here because I think, there's bigger picture here. Suno and Udio are saying, hey, it's fair use. That we're not just copying stuff. We've trained it on ideas of music that aren't copyrightable, and it can now go take individual pieces of transitions or whatever and build these things. And they say it's fair use. One of these companies says, "Oh, you can't even put in Bruce Springsteen or what anybody's names. You just got to say this type of song or that type of song." But what do you say as an artist who has 10 albums out there, and this thing's going ahead and allowing people just to
So
make fakes?
I think the bigger picture here is that they're worried that these models are going to replace their artists. It's not so much that they're infringing on the copyrights. Yes, they are, but good luck proving that unless, well, I guess they could get subpoenaed for their algorithm and their data sets, right? But maybe good luck because that is pretty proprietary. But I think this is more of them anticipating the fact that these models have the potential to create music without the need for artists, and it takes away from their revenue. And so this is their way of trying to shut them down for sure.
Yeah, they say they're asking for them to admit the AI models were trained on libraries of music. Second, want an injunction to stop the alleged training, and last, they're seeking damages up to 150,000 per song, which could
Yeah.
quickly add up to 9
Good
figures or
luck.
more.
Yeah.
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 This is a pretty big deal, so we'll have to see what side of things this lands on, because this is going to open up, what about deep fakes of people? What about, training
Mhm.
on speech voices or appearance or what have you? This is going to have a huge impact on all the industries when you start looking at what the outcome of this will be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary. And what about the data that, like, for voice and stuff, that maybe they're using our voices to train on, right? Where's my 150,000?
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently I can just feed a couple of my videos into some of these tools and then give it text, and it'll imitate my voice pretty well. So, I don't know why we're still doing this. We just give the script to AI to do it. You had mentioned Anthropic last year.
Yeah.
Universal Music Group sued Anthropic, PBC, another AI music company, for copyright infringement in a case that specifically focused on lyrics.
And where did that go? Do we know?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But that was on, again, lyrics. So you talked about Anthropic before. So
Yeah, oh, I love Anthropic. They're my favorite. And they've just shown, yeah, we talked about it last week, but they've just shown that they're better. They came out with 3.5 and it's better than 4.0, but we already talked about that last week.
yeah. So Suno Nudio claim it's fair to copy an artist's life's work and exploit it for their own profit without consent or pay, set back the promise of genuine innovative AI for all of us. So that's a statement obviously from the other side saying, hey, they're
Yeah.
screwing us. So I can see both sides on this. I'm curious as to see where it's going to go, because like I said, there's so much on this art. When you copy people's art, likeness, voice, sound, style.
Yeah. Like, I could see if this was coming from a genuine place of caring about their artists and caring, but this is just this is a money grab and trying to stop them from overtaking their current artist. And like, yeah, if this was a genuine, like, we're worried and we want our artists paid, then great. But those, like, I don't see that. I don't see that here. I see them this is just them being greedy still. But I'm all for ensuring that artists get paid for their work. I know it takes a lot of work to put together music, put together whatever, any kind of creative stuff. So at the end of the day, maybe this is good for the artist, but I doubt it. It's only good for the music labels.
So let's jump on to this next one that you put on here.
Yeah,
if I can
Speaking
find
of generative AI, so Toys R Us. So Toys R Us partnered with a brand, some sort of branding company, and what they did was the branding company created an AI generated commercial using text to video using the Sora model, which is, I think, Meta's model. So, but the thing is Sora's not yet publicly available. So, but there were glitches. There was a need for human editing. Apparently, they just created it and posted it, kind of thing. Maybe is what I read. So, and it's absolutely horrible.
And what kind of backlash are they getting as a result of this?
Yeah, so they're criticizing low quality, obviously job loss concerns. But the thing is what it does in the video itself, it depicts the company's founder as a child imagining the brand, which is a cool concept, but just the execution was wrong. They were quick to point out the limitations, the glitches, a whole bunch of different things. But again, brands seem eager to experiment with buzzy AI like Sora for marketing and things like that. So again back to proprietary and infringement and things like that. They're going to need to have guidelines on responsible AI content generation. So it's interesting to see. It's funny that there's the video. Like it looks horrible. I can't believe they would release something like that. But
it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
No, it's not.
Like I would accept this to put it on my website and stuff, but that's
just
me.
For sure. But like from a big brand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This is great for like, someone like us, someone like you or I. This is good, but from a big brand, especially if they're working with a big marketing agency, no.
And I guess that's the point, is like how long did it take him to produce this?
Exactly.
And what was it worth versus what it would have cost to go with a big brand? And does it really make an impact on them? Is the negative backlash having an impact?
Have a negative impact?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think so. But who knows? The thing is nowadays people just complain to complain, but yet they don't change their habits. So the people might have a problem with it and might be complaining, but who knows if they're changing, if they're doing anything about it, right? It's just people wanting to say something.
Yeah, we all misery love company, and we all like to complain about something.
For sure.
Yeah, so this is
about things all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I haven't had access to Sora yet. Is it in Poe? Can you get access to it in Poe?
No, it's not available publicly yet. No.
So I'm curious.
I don't think there's any of the generative AIs available in Poe, but I'll have to look into that. Like as far as like the text to video, text to things like that, I don't think Poe allows that, but I'll have to look into it. I've just been using it for text.
So let's jump into our future tech segment, and let's talk about large language models.
Speaking of AI, this was a cool article from Gizmodo. I love Gizmodo. I read Gizmodo every single day. Gizmodo and Engadget are my go-tos for things, but shout out to Gizmodo. So they cover research from Anthropic, where Anthropic analyzed the internal features used by their conversational AI Claude to generate content. So using dictionary learning, they extracted millions of semantic building blocks that Claude draws on to reason and generate text, which sheds light on the representations inside Claude's neural network kind of black box. The paper itself builds on this by scaling up feature extraction dramatically for their latest Claude 3 Sonnet model. So by training larger sparse autoencoders, what they did was they uncovered even more abstract and sophisticated features corresponding to complex multilingual and multimodal concepts. And so they also found one thing to note, because we talked about this before, features plausibly relevant to AI safety, which is kind of cool. So the dictionary learning is kind of a clever way to decode neural networks. The features it reveals provides a window into how the model's knowledge works and its inferences. And Anthropic's research demonstrates that these models can scale to large state-of-the-art models and uncover meaningful abstract features. So really, really cool development here. But there's a lot to think. There's the other thing too to think about is this came from Anthropic themselves. This wasn't a third party. So can we really, is it can we really trust what they're saying?
Yeah, who knows? It's hard to say, but I gotta say I've talked to several AI founders, multiple founders who've exited in AI and stuff. And the one quote that struck me was related to, in the end, no one knows how this works. That it just kind of works and no one really knows. I'm like, all right, so you've built multiple AI companies, exited hundreds of millions of dollars, and you tell me that you don't even know. And secondly, we were talking about model collapse and data collapse and stuff, and that's a thing that they're struggling with, and no one knows why that happens again. So there's a lot of black box stuff in this, and it's interesting to see more and more of that get kind of figured out and maybe come to the surface.
Yeah. It's really cool. So the cool thing that the cool thing about this paper is it does help to make AI systems more transparent and explainable, because it identifies specific features that correspond to concepts that the system knows about. So rather than just seeing neural activations, we can now attach semantic meaning like Golden Gate Bridge to certain patterns of activity. And so understanding these features provides us insight into the model's internal reasoning, which we can see which features activate in response to an input, which reveals what knowledge Claude is drawing on to generate the response. The other thing is that the features form building blocks that we can use to understand more complex model behaviors. And by studying how these features interact and combine, we can start kind of figuring out things like multi-step inference and things like that. So if this is an accurate paper, I don't know if it's been peer reviewed, but if this is accurate, then there's a lot of potential here. Now, also there's also potential for introducing more bias into things, but there's also a lot more potential to integrate some safety protocols and different things like that. So
yeah, obviously once you start to figure out what words or phrases trigger certain paths in the database of the AI, then you can either change those things to make it better, or you can start like tweaking everything along that way. It's like, oh, that's not what we meant. We didn't mean, when you're talking about recycling garbage, we didn't mean these things. We mean these things, and you're triggering this path, and maybe that combination of words we need to double check and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see this, but how does this research make AI systems like Claude more transparent and explainable? What does it actually do for us?
yeah, so it just essentially kind of, so what it does is it kind of breaks it out into specific blocks so that we can understand. So like I said, like the semantic meanings like Golden Gate Bridge, internal reasoning, understanding complex model behaviors. So like the multi-step inference, and also analyze if there's unsafe or undesirable behaviors that depend on certain concepts being activated. So the benefits for users at the end of the day can be increased interpretability, accountability, and trust. Because when users understand more about why an AI system did something, they can better evaluate if its behavior aligns with expectations. So features help provide that missing context about the system's internals, and users can also verify an AI isn't relying on problematic reasoning related to fairness, ethics, or safety. So transparency is key for safely deploying these capable AI systems.
It's funny how everyone tells us that AI is way more efficient and it can do all these things and it's faster and makes better decisions, yet no one knows how it makes the decisions. You're
Well,
looking at this. No, we're figuring it out now.
yeah,
Is what I'm saying. This is like that a company like Anthropic is developing these white papers and doing this research, even though how many years have they had their AI product out there?
yeah,
That they're just doing this research to figure out how, it kind of does this, but how does it choose which path to take? How does it choose, the Golden Gate Bridge adjacent? This is interesting that they evoke subjects that were Golden Gate Bridge adjacent once they mentioned the Golden Gate Bridge, like Alcatraz, California Governor, Newsom, Hitchcock movie Vertigo, which were all set in San Francisco, and told them to identify millions of features, a sort of Rosetta Stone to decode Claude's neural network. So that's very interesting, where you kind of feed it something and then see what happens. And I don't know, it's kind of like a MRI, I guess. You're trying to figure out which areas of the brains are lighting up when stuff is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like an MRI for AI. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So it just validates that no one, they're just trying to get to the point of understanding how the generative AI works. So what do you think Anthropic's motivations are to present this information?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Anthropic is for-profit AI company, right? So they can have certain motivations that shape how they present their research to the public. So the potential motivation. So promoting their technology and capabilities to investors and customers, establishing themselves as a thought leader in AI interpretability and safety, building public trust by showing their models are transparent and explainable. But some reasons why they should not be taken at wholly at face value is there could be biases and selective reporting to portray the research in the best possible light. So negative results may be omitted. And I actually was messing around with that the other day, is getting a summary, but telling the AI that's summarizing to not focus on certain things or to omit certain things. So it's interesting. It's also hard to evaluate if their interpretations really capture what features represent without more third-party analysis. Like I'm saying, it needs to be peer reviewed and all that sort of stuff. But again, Anthropic, I love you. I think you're one of the better one. I think you're the best AI out there. So, but claims around safety and transparency, they could be overstated before a robust methodology is developed. So, there's business incentives that could emphasize flashy results over diligent science. So, the thing is there are some mitigating factors, like as a paper, the research itself is public for scrutiny, which is good, which is what we're hoping for. Other groups can reproduce and validate the methods for interpreting features. And the thing with Anthropic is their researchers do have strong academic credentials and reputations to uphold. So there's a neutral public should, the public should not take research claims from a company like Anthropic at face value. However, with an open and reproducible methodology, there are opportunities to validate the core ideas independently.
This is interesting. I like to see more of this come out to the public as we start to get our our head around what it is these things actually do and how they work. And hopefully it's going to lead us to better, more efficient, and less of the erroneous answers we're getting, like add glue to your pizza.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm hoping we get more insights. It's kind of scary though, because you would think that they would know this stuff as they're building their models. They would know how the models work as they're building them.
You would think.
Yeah.
So let's jump to this next one. The 1 million kilometer range car.
Yes.
So
I could have sworn we had covered it before, but I guess not. We've covered so much.
We've covered a few, and I think we mentioned thorium specifically, but not that, on 8 grams of thorium, we could have a 1 million kilometer range.
Yeah, this is never going to happen. But it could be fuel for space exploration, things like that. So, yeah, so the article discusses an experimental thorium reactor that could potentially power a car for over 1 million kilometers on just 8 grams of thorium fuel. So people that don't know thorium, it's a radioactive metal. but it can undergo nuclear fission reactions to produce heat, which can generate electricity. So in a thorium car, the reactor would trigger thorium conversion to uranium-233, which would heat water to drive a turbine-powered electric propulsion. So proponents claim that the energy density of thorium, this is the key part here, is over 1,000,000 times greater than gasoline, which would enable such extreme range, right? So some things here to think about, though, to unpack. The feasibility of miniaturizing a thorium reactor small enough to fit in a car with adequate shielding, completely unproven. So, like, there's a lot of engineering barriers that remain for that. More research is going to need to scale and control thorium fission reactions for power generation in a portable setting. And this goes back to maybe this could be your backyard reactor, Craig, that you keep talking that you like.
Backyard nukes.
Backyard nukes. There's obviously radiation safety issues around thorium fuel cells in consumer cars. But is there any more safety issues than the nuclear battery that we talked about? I don't know. The other thing too is I think that these range claims are dubious and exaggerated based on current science, but there's going to be more development needed. So it is potentially a game-changing fuel.
They're saying I got it wrong here. It claims it lasts for 1 million miles or 1.6 million kilometers. It says billion here, but that's wrong.
1 million miles, not
yeah, but that's okay. And again, this is that would be described realistically as having nuclear power unit small enough to fuel a proper vehicle that far.
Yeah.
So
one thing to note, though, that adds like so much complexity and challenges is to start the fission reaction. Thorium reactors will need an initial neutron source like plutonium or deuterium, which is crazy. So, crazy. It's cool, but crazy.
So, craziness aside for a second, it needs a huge jump to get this thing started. With the kind of thing, can it just be running all the time?
Yeah, for sure. But the thing is where does that excess energy go? Like, is it just like a valve that just gets released?
Honestly, it depends. Like it depends on how much extra energy is happening. My point being is, can you kickstart an engine like this at the plant so it leaves the plant running until it stops?
I'm guessing so. That's a great point.
That becomes more of a doable thing when you're talking about starting and stopping something like this. And if it's just creating energy, you can always plug it into your house and power stuff.
Yeah, there's your backyard nuke / car now. The second you buy your car is when they start the reaction at the dealership, and then that's it. You don't fuel it up ever.
Maybe I see this not happening like you do. There's more chance of you having a buried energy thing in your backyard versus in your car, because you can charge your car, you can charge your stuff if the thing is stationary and secure rather than running around hitting each other in the streets.
Yeah. This is I'm surprised that they took it, that this article talked about it as far as part of like in your car, as opposed to like, I think with 1 million kilometer distance, right? There's much more practical applications, like a huge space exploration vehicle, right? That you've got more room to create those to put in the reactor, to have the shielding and all that sort of stuff, right? Than in a small car.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have a small, basically nuclear fusion engine running around, or having them in a stationary location where you can build some security around it. Another thing is to put it in a car filled with plastic and throw it on the highway at 100 miles an hour.
Imagine if you got in a crash.
That's what I'm saying.
We have these mini nuclear explosions. I laugh, but that's actually really serious and scary.
So why did they come up with this idea? Is it just to make a splash? Because the odds of something like this happening,
I think it's just it's like a lot of the other tech that we cover. They're cool concepts. They're cool theories, right? Why thorium? Why not another not nuclear, but radioactive isotope? I don't know. Maybe it's just they wanted to get some clicks and hits, but I think it's cool. It's interesting, but I still think hydrogen is the way to go, and that's gonna. I think we can even have hydrogen generators at our home instead of nuclear reactors. I honestly don't think we will ever see home nuclear reactors or even portable automobile reactors, and I could be wrong.
You could be. There's enough mistakes in this article for me to think that somebody's just speculating here completely.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I you know what? I'm gonna have to double check. I think I've got another couple articles from Eco News that I've been reading. I'm gonna have to double check these guys.
That's okay. We want to keep doing that, and as the sources, if we don't like them, just because it says 1 million kilometer range over here, and then it says 1 million miles, 1.6 kilometers. Then it says 1.6 billion kilometers. There's just enough that you're like, okay. It almost like I wrote it.
Almost like an AI wrote it.
Yeah, well, AI would have probably figured out whether it's 1 million kilometers or 1.6 million kilometers or 1.6
not if it was
billion.
written with GPT-1 or Claude 1
they can't count. That's one of the things GPT's never been good at is math or counting.
Except 3.5, Claude 3.5. It is now great at math and coding and all that sort of stuff. So
awesome. So
and it's free in Canada, by the way. Anthropic is free in Canada. You can now use it. You can use the desktop app. Anyways.
Really? Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be jumping on that. So what do you got going on, John?
So I've got this really cool event. It's for fractional C-suite and agency owners. It's a dinner hosted by Ryan Wong. Ryan's a phenomenal guy. I love working with Ryan. Love his events. This one's in Burlington, which is awesome, which is closer to me. It's in 12 days, 9 hours from now. So anyone that wants to go to Burlington or is in the Burlington area wants to go, feel free, get a ticket.
Yeah, it looks like a fun event, and I might have to swing by and sign up. I guess I recommend people signing up ahead of time. These things have limited space because they're
very limited space.
Dinner, so don't wait too long, or you'll be like, "Oh, you regret it."
Yeah, exactly.
And where do people go if they want to talk to you about funding and technology?
Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to talk about funding. A lot of times I'm the bad guy when it comes to funding, especially if you're a brand new startup. There's a huge disconnect between that, but I'm happy to have those conversations with you.
And check out the Future Tech podcast and everything else we do at torontostarts.com. We help entrepreneurs with events, workshops, educational programs, and all sorts of stuff. So check out everything there. And thanks again, John. This has been great.
This is fun. Thanks, Craig.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.